the screech of tires, the violent shatter of glass, and then absolute deafening silence. That was the last thing I remembered before everything went pitch black. When I finally opened my eyes, the harsh, sterile smell of antiseptic filled my nose, and the steady, rhythmic beeping of a heart monitor echoed in my ears. I was in the emergency room, my body broken and covered in bandages after a horrific motorcycle accident. But as the blurry figures around me began to sharpen, my heart skipped a beat for an entirely different reason. Standing right over me, adjusting my IV line, was a face I hadn't seen in over 10 years. It was Maya, the girl who used to sit 2 rows ahead of me in chemistry class. The girl whose laugh could brighten my darkest days. My ultimate high school crush. As she leaned in close to check my vitals, our eyes met, and a look of profound shock washed over her face. She leaned down, her breath warm against my ear, and whispered 6 words that sent a shiver straight down my spine. "Do you remember me?" But before I could even find my voice to answer her, a sudden red light began to flash on the monitor above us, and the doors to the trauma bay burst open. What happened next would unravel a web of secrets, forgotten promises, and a dangerous truth that neither of us was prepared to face. Before we dive deep into how a devastating crash brought us back together, the dark secret Maya was hiding behind her hospital badge, and the shocking truth of how it all ends, I have a quick question for you. Which country are you watching this story from right now? Drop your country's name in the comments below. I love seeing how far our community reaches. And if you love thrilling emotional stories like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. It really helps the channel grow, and you won't miss a single twist. Now, let's take a step back to where this all truly began. To understand how I ended up on that hospital bed, staring into the eyes of the girl I thought I'd lost forever, you have to understand who I was before the crash. My name is Julian. For the past decade, my life had been a blur of routine, long working hours, and an underlying sense of isolation. I lived in the heart of the city, a place where you can be surrounded by millions of people and still feel entirely alone. The only time I ever felt truly alive, truly free from the weight of my mundane existence, was when I was on my motorcycle. The roar of the engine, the wind whipping past my helmet, it was the only therapy I could afford. But no matter how fast I rode, I could never quite outrun the memories of my past. Specifically, the memories of senior year. High school wasn't kind to me. I was the quiet kid, the one who blended into the background, trying to avoid the attention of the school bullies. But Maya was different. She wasn't just beautiful. She possessed a rare, genuine kindness that made everyone around her feel seen. She was the star of the debate team, an honors student, and effortlessly popular. I was just the guy who secretly sketched portraits of her in the back of his notebook, too terrified to ever say more than a clumsy hello when passing her in the hallway. There was only one time we truly connected. It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon during our final semester. The school library was practically empty, and we were both stuck waiting out a massive storm. She had looked up from her textbooks, noticed me sitting alone, and walked over. For 2 hours, we talked about everything: our fears, our dreams, and what we wanted to do with our lives. She told me she wanted to become a trauma nurse, to save lives when every second counted. I told her I just wanted to find a way to make a difference. Before she left that day, she smiled and said, "Don't be a stranger, Julian. We have a lot more stories to share." But we never did. Graduation happened, lives drifted apart, and she became a beautiful, bittersweet memory. Until the universe decided to throw us back into the same room under the worst possible circumstances. The day of the accident started like any other. The skies were clear, and the highway was calling my name. I took my bike out for a long ride through the winding mountain roads just outside the city limits. It was supposed to be a quick escape, a way to clear my head after a stressful week. As I rounded a sharp, blind corner on the descent back to the city, Everything went wrong in an instant. A large delivery truck, completely out of its lane, appeared out of nowhere. I slammed on the brakes, but the tires lost traction on a patch of loose gravel. The bike flipped, throwing me into the air before I slammed brutally against the asphalt, skidding for what felt like an eternity. The pain was immediate and blinding. I remember the sound of the truck driving away. The driver hadn't even stopped. I lay there on the cold pavement, staring up at the sky, gasping for air as the world faded to gray. When the paramedics arrived, they rushed me to the nearest major trauma center. I was drifting in and out of consciousness, barely aware of the chaotic sounds of sirens, shouting voices, and the frantic movement of a gurney rushing through automatic glass doors. Male, late 20s, severe motorcycle accident, multiple lacerations, possible internal bleeding, someone yelled. I was rolled into Trauma Bay 3. The bright, blinding lights overhead made my eyes water. Nurses and doctors swarmed around me, cutting away my riding jacket and hooking me up to machines. Through the haze of pain and medication, I felt someone gently take my hand. I looked up, fighting the heavy weight of my eyelids. That was when I saw her. Her hair was tied back in a messy bun, and she wore deep blue hospital scrubs, but those eyes were unmistakable. It was Maya. She was working frantically to stabilize my fractured arm, her expression a mix of intense professional focus and sudden, stark recognition as she looked down at my face. The chaos of the emergency room seemed to instantly mute. The shouting of the doctors became a distant echo. She leaned down, checking my pupillary response, her face just inches from mine. That was when she whispered those words. "Do you remember me?" I tried to nod, tried to speak her name, but a sudden, violent cough racked my chest. The heart monitor beside my bed began to beep frantically, its steady rhythm turning into a high-pitched, terrifying drone. "His blood pressure is dropping rapidly. We're losing him," Maya shouted, her professional instincts instantly kicking back in. The tenderness in her eyes vanished, replaced by sheer panic. "Internal bleeding in the thoracic cavity," the lead doctor commanded. "We need to get him to emergency surgery right now. Nurse Maya, prep the patient for transport." Everything became a blur of motion. Maya was right beside me, pushing the gurney down a long, brightly lit corridor. As we sprinted toward the operating room, she leaned down again, holding my hand with a grip so tight it cut through the numbness spreading through my body. "Hang in there, Julian," she pleaded, her voice cracking with an emotion that went far beyond standard patient care. "You can't leave yet. There is something you don't know. Something I have to tell you about that night. About why I vanished." Before I could process her words, the heavy double doors of the surgical suite swung open. A masked doctor stepped in front of her, stopping her from entering. "You can't come any further, Maya. Let the surgical team handle it from here," the doctor said firmly. The last image I had before the anesthesia took total control was Maya standing in the hallway, tears welling up in her eyes, holding a stained piece of paper that had fallen out of my torn riding jacket, the old weathered page from my high school notebook where I had sketched her portrait all those years ago. Hours later, I woke up in a quiet, dimly lit recovery room. The intense, sharp pain in my chest had subsided to a dull, throbbing ache. I looked to my right and saw the silhouette of someone sitting in the chair beside my bed. It was Maya. She had stayed with me long after her shift had ended. As she noticed me stirring, she stood up and walked over, placing a gentle hand on my shoulder. "Hey," she softly murmured. "You're safe. The surgery was a success. They stopped the bleeding." "Maya," I managed to croak out, my throat incredibly dry. She smiled, a tear slipping down her cheek. "I can't believe it's really you, Julian. When they brought you in, I thought I was seeing a ghost." She reached into her pocket and pulled out the folded blood-stained sketch. "You kept this? All this time?" I nodded weakly. "I never forgot you, Maya. But what did you mean before? What secret were you talking about?" Maya's smile faded, replaced by a shadow of fear. She glanced toward the small glass window of the recovery room door, ensuring no one was listening before leaning in close. "The truck that hit you on the mountain road today," she whispered, her voice trembling. "It wasn't an accident, Julian. And the fact that you were brought to my hospital on my shift is a warning. Someone from our past knows we're both still looking for the truth about senior year, and they're trying to silence us before we find it." My mind raced, the fog of the medication instantly evaporating. Before I could ask her what she meant, the doorknob to the recovery room began to slowly turn, and a heavy, dark shadow appeared against the frosted glass of the door. Our hearts stopped. Maya quickly tucked the sketch back into her scrub pocket and stood up straight, trying to look as professional as possible. The door creaked open, and the shadow stepped into the room. We both let out a breath we didn't realize we were holding. It was just the hospital's night shift security guard, making his routine rounds. He nodded politely, checked the room, and stepped back out into the quiet hallway. But the terrifying moment served as a brutal reality check. We weren't safe. Knowing that the walls had ears, Maya waited until the next morning when I was officially discharged. Instead of letting me go back to my empty apartment, she brought me to a secluded, small house on the outskirts of the city, a place she had rented under a different name. Once inside, she handed me a cup of warm tea, sat down opposite me, and finally took off the weight she had been carrying for over a decade. "Julian, do you remember Marcus, the principal's son?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Of course I remembered Marcus. He was the wealthiest, most arrogant guy in our high school, protected by his father's status and his family's immense political influence. He used to torment anyone he deemed below him. "On the night of our senior prom," Maya continued, her hand shaking, "you didn't attend, but I did. After the party, Marcus trapped me in the old, empty chemistry lab upstairs. He was drunk, aggressive, and he wouldn't let me leave. He tried to force himself on me. I fought back with everything I had. In the struggle, I grabbed a heavy glass beaker from the counter and struck him across the face. He lost his balance, stumbled backward, and went crashing through the old wooden railing, falling down the stairs. I stared at her, completely stunned. I ran down to check on him," Maya sobbed, tears flowing freely now. "He was unconscious, bleeding heavily from his head. I thought I had killed him. Before I could call for help, his closest friend, Ethan, whose father owns half the real estate in this city, stepped out of the shadows. He had witnessed the whole thing. But instead of helping, Ethan smiled. He told me that if I went to the police, his family would make sure I went to prison for life. He said Marcus's father would destroy my family. Ethan gave me one choice: pack my bags, disappear from this state immediately, and never look back." "So you ran," I said, the pieces of the puzzle finally falling into place. "To protect your family." "Yes," Maya said, "but Marcus didn't die. He survived, though the injury left him with a permanent scar. Years later, I found out the truth. Ethan used that incident to blackmail Marcus's father, gaining immense political and financial favors for his own family's business. Ethan is now one of the most powerful, corrupt developers in this city. And lately, I started looking into his past transactions, trying to find proof of how he built his empire on that blackmail. I wanted my life back, Julian. I wanted to come home without fear." "But how does my accident tie into this?" I asked, looking down at my bandaged arms. "Because last week, Ethan's people spotted me near his corporate office," Maya explained. "And just 2 days ago, you went to that exact office to deliver some archived architectural blueprints for your freelance job. You were seen talking to someone who used to go to our high school. Ethan's security team thought you and I were working together to expose him. The truck that ran you off the road? It belongs to one of Ethan's shell companies. It was a hit, Julian. They wanted to eliminate you to send a message to me." The realization hit me like a physical blow. My accident wasn't bad luck. It was a calculated attempt at murder to protect a 10-year-old lie. "We can't keep running, Maya," I said, taking her trembling hands in mine. "They tried to kill me, and they will never let you live in peace. We were quiet in high school, but we aren't helpless now. We fight back." Over the next 3 days, using my knowledge of building layouts and Maya's collected data on Ethan's corrupt transactions, we formulated a plan. We knew we couldn't just go to the local police. Ethan had too many people in his pocket. We needed undeniable public proof. Used a hidden camera setup, disguised within my old motorcycle helmet that had survived the crash, and we arranged a meeting. Maya called Ethan directly from a burner phone, claiming she had a digital drive containing all the original blackmail records and wanted a financial settlement to leave the country forever. She demanded they meet at the abandoned high school campus, the place where it all began, claiming it was the only place she felt secure. The night of the meeting was cold and foggy. The old school building loomed like a ghost from our past. Maya stood in the center of the old courtyard, holding a dummy flash drive. I was hidden in the shadows of the upper corridor, the helmet camera recording everything in high definition, transmitting the feed directly to an off-site independent investigative journalist we had contacted. Right on time, a sleek black SUV rolled into the courtyard. Ethan stepped out, flanked by 2 heavy-set security guards. He looked exactly as arrogant as he did in high school, only colder. "Well, well, Maya," Ethan sneered, walking toward her. 10 years, and you still haven't learned your place. You should have stayed hidden." "I want my life back, Ethan," Maya said, keeping her voice steady despite the danger. "Take the drive. Just promise you'll leave me and Julian alone. You already tried to kill him with that truck." Ethan laughed, a chilling, confident sound. "Julian, that little nobody was collateral damage. A warning you failed to heed. Yes, I ordered the hit, just like I ordered your disappearance 10 years ago. In this city, money writes the rules, Maya. You think a piece of plastic is going to stop me?" He signaled his guards. "Take the drive, and make sure neither of them leaves this courtyard tonight." As the guards stepped forward, a sudden blast of sirens echoed through the night. Bright red and blue lights illuminated the entire courtyard from the main gates. Ethan froze, his face draining of color. We hadn't just relied on the local police. The journalist we contacted had simultaneously bypassed the corrupt local precinct and delivered our live broadcast feed straight to the federal authorities and state investigators who had been building a case against Ethan's empire for months. His own verbal confession on tape was the final nail in his coffin. Dozens of armed federal agents swarmed the courtyard, commanding everyone to drop their weapons. Ethan and his guards were slammed against the hood of the SUV and handcuffed. As Ethan was being led away, he caught sight of me stepping out of the shadows, holding the helmet camera. The look of absolute defeat on his face was the most satisfying thing I had ever seen. A few weeks later, the dust finally settled. Ethan's empire completely collapsed under the weight of federal charges, bribery, and attempted murder. The truth about what happened on prom night finally came out, completely exonerating Maya. She was finally, truly free. On a warm summer evening, I stood outside the hospital, waiting by my newly repaired motorcycle. The doors slid open and Maya walked out, no longer carrying the invisible weight of fear on her shoulders. She looked at the bike, then at me, and smiled that same beautiful smile that had captivated me in the chemistry classroom all those years ago. She walked over, took the spare helmet from my hands, and climbed onto the back of the bike, wrapping her arms tightly around my waist. "So, Julian," she whispered in my ear, her voice full of hope. "Where to now?" I started the engine, the familiar roar echoing through the street. "Wherever the road takes us, Maya. We have a lot of lost time to make up for." And with that, we rode off into the sunset, leaving the shadows of our past exactly where they belonged, behind us. What an incredible journey of justice, survival, and a love that stood the test of time. If you enjoyed this full story and want to see more thrilling narratives just like this one, please make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Give this video a big thumbs up, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload.